Hello and welcome to the second edition of On the Couch, whereby we have a look back at Couch's tips from last week to see how they got on. We've got a new background as well. It's a library, which doesn't really tally, but I was meant to get a sort of medical type background and never quite got around to it.
Well, do you think we should be in an house or something?
Quite possibly. Let's look at your tips and see if...
We're in the library.
Now, your first one that you gave us was the 2:15 at Newbury last week, Oxford Charlie.
Yeah, I made inquiries about this and I think the race may have come a bit too soon after the Salisbury run. It's only had the one run. I think it'll be put away next year, a nice handicap mark of 80 or something, and being also following handicaps next year.
Okay. Ran okay, but finished unplaced.
I was disappointed. I don't think it did run okay. I was expecting it to run better.
Yeah.
But again, because it hasn't ruined this mark, it'll be handicapping next year. So I'll be keeping an eye on it for next year.
Okay. One who did run well without winning was Kazim.
Again, yeah, just got beat by Beaten Up. Again, Kazim, I think, was rated 110 and Beaten Up was 98. You'd be getting £12 if it was an handicap. And Beaten Up pulled very hard through the early stages as it went no pace.
Yeah.
And when Kazim quickened up, I thought game over. But fair play, Johnny Murtagh managed to settle Beaten Up and did it quicken up well.
Yeah, it did. He looks a good sort.
To also win a Group 3, I think on his third run rated 98. It's going to be a nice horse next year.
Yeah, they had Harris Tweed in that race, pulled him out, didn't they?
He was the same owner. He was William Haggis's father, Brian Haggis. Very, very interesting. Very, very nice animal. Obviously won a Group 3. Next year, maybe looking at even races, the Coronation Cup, maybe even the King George with the horse. As Arthur Daly once said, the world's his lobster.
Next one, you had a winner, Couch, Pimpernel.
Don't look so surprised. I did say it was the bet of the weekend. Again, on that run, it was second to Wading of Aidan O'Brien's, and it did look the proverbial penalty kick. I actually said the reason we get a price about it was Edge Tebby had ride it, and of course, as Godolphin Enki didn't run in the racing post, Frankie diverted.
Went up, didn't he? Yeah.
That was it, double bubble there, Bushnell smashed in, and it bolted in. I mean, it did exactly what he said on the tin. Just about how well his horses are running at the moment. They're flying, aren't they? Especially his fillies. I said it's the best bet of the day. I mean, the first time he done this, Rob, it was a bit of a disaster. But thankfully we had a few winners here, and I was pleased to see that win the best bet of the day. Win like it did as well.
Yeah, and you were also pleased with your next tip, another Godolphin horse. You suggested each way, Willing Foe, who was fourth.
I was more pleased with that sort of 17 runner. The one thing that annoyed me, Rob, was Kurt Hill. And also I've been following all year of Luca's, and the ground description that day on Saturday was good to firm. And I rang the man at Luca Kamani's, and gets a good message out of that yard. And he said to me, the horse, it's good to firm. Don't back it. I think Nakshabana beat it. And I don't think the ground was good to firm there. Kurt Hill won. But Willing Foe ran a cracker, didn't it?
Okay, actually.
8-1, again, caught the odds of places. Someone's had a tenner each way, they get 30 quid back. It goes down as a winning bet. I'll be happy with all them. I think it'd be very interesting running a November handicap again, Willing Foe.
But the next one, Chips All In, Camelot.
Yeah, it was, Again, a lot of people were crabbing the horse's form, and the form was no good at that win. But the fact it was freeze on, I don't think there's any other trainer on the flat where the market speaks like Aidan O'Brien's, does it? I mean, the fact that they would not have this horse beat.
Yeah, it's 5-2 earlier in the week, I think, wasn't it? When it was
but that was when Daddy Longers, when nobody knew what. I mean, Aidan had about 6, and then the money come for one horse. And Daddy Longers was never going to run, was it? But it was very well heavily backed on the day again as well. But 13-8, I think one firm went Saturday morning. They were fielding very, very early. I think one thing people have gone totally overboard about it, as they tend to do with racing post winners. I mean, for the Guineas, do me a favour. Montjeu winning the Guineas. I can't be having that, can you?
You wouldn't be happy with what would you prefer, 7-1 for the Guineas or 7-2 for the Derby?
7-2 for the Derby, without a shadow. Yeah, because we've seen with racing post, crowded house. We see last year with Seville and the likes of them, aren't we? They don't turn out to be Guineas winners. Even Celtic Swing are probably the best racing post winner I've seen them. You agree with that when he won by about 7 lengths? Peter Savills horse that got beaten in the Guineas by Pennycamp. But I don't think, you're not taking on the speed horses you do in the Dewhurst in this race, are you? I mean, Zip Top ran okay, couldn't give that away. Fencing, I thought, again, the ground a bit too quick for it. Did you think Fencing? He wasn't striding out at the end, did you notice that?
No, I didn't actually notice that. I was too busy looking at Camelot.
Yeah, I mean, he just whizzed past them, didn't it? And we had it, of course, with St Nicholas Abbey, didn't we? Favourite for the Guineas, beating the Guineas. Their history book tells us the racing post trophy winners don't win the Guineas, do they? But they got a great record in the Derby.
So if he was to show up in the Guineas, do you think they'll go for it, or do you think they'll sidestep?
I don't really know. It depends. It really. I mean, I didn't think St Nicholas Abbey would ever run the Guineas, and it did, and he got finished 6th. Ran as I expected it to. Just stayed on. I think the same with this horse. It might run in the Guineas, finish 4th. I mean, Generous finished 4th in the Guineas, I remember. And it may well go and run with in the Guineas, but this doesn't look to have the speed. You're looking at Frank or. Unless it's going to be a real See the Stars type animal. And
they showed enough speed on Saturday, though, didn't it?
Against milers. It was over a mile. If it had run in the Dewhurst, I like to see the Dewhurst as McGuinness form night. You know, I just think that's 7 furlong. And the really interesting thing is that Jim Bolger had the second with Zip Top, and he had the Dewhurst winner.
Yeah.
You'd like to know where they stand on the gallop, wouldn't you?
Would, yeah.
The interesting thing about the whole day was a lot of people would tip Zip Top, and it drifted like a barge, didn't it?
Yeah, it did actually.
But
Yeah.
he ran okay. But it'd be interesting to know what you know, how Jim stands with that. And of course, Aidan had runners in the Dewhurst, so he'd know where he stands with them all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like them. Again, I couldn't possibly think of backing Camelot for the Guineas, but for the Derby, again, he's very, very short, isn't he, for the Derby? Okay, he's won the race with Ice Chaparral, isn't he, Aidan before and Brian. But we have seen Nicholas Abbey bomb out, and who knows? But this all couldn't have done it easier, and
No.
you know, thankfully, glad to get the winner of Racing Post.
Good. So you had 3 wins from 3 returns, I should say, from 5 selections. That's not bad.
I'm settled for that. You know,
Yeah.
again, it's a profit. All this game's about is like tipping horses. You know, we've got to tip 5 or 6 every week.
Yeah.
You know, and just as we show a profit, I called it 1-1 so far because we lost on the first week,
Yeah,
didn't we?
okay.
Let's have it right. I didn't do very well the first week, and we're 1-1 with our row with the bookies at the
Okay.
moment.
Let's hope we can make it 2-1 this week.